G'day everyone, welcome back to the painting channel. Just another opportunity to share with you guys what I've been up to, what I've been painting over the last 2 or 3 weeks. These 4 chappies here, they're just they're gripping beast, like Anglo Saxon style or generic Dark Age levy kind of troops. I'd done a bunch of them a couple of videos ago, and these 4 were left to do from that batch. So finished those off, or hand painted shields as usual with this particular project. Yeah, so fairly straightforward. There'll be photos at the end giving you more views of the figures. I'll just step them back there. And next up, I'll bring up, I've got a unit of, I believe these are Gripping Beast Flemish mercenaries. Yes, I dropped one on the floor, and thank goodness the spear didn't break out of the hand, because they are very prone to doing that. And it's a good thing I have got a carpeted floor and not boards or tiles. Oh, gee. Right. Okay. I have to adjust the shot slightly, I think. Trying to get these in focus. Come on now. That's a bit better. Okay, so yeah, these are Gripping Beast Flemish mercenaries, I believe. I believe that's what they are. So again, hand painted shields. Now I can recognize, I think there's certainly the majority have a lot of there's a lot of Colin pattern about them, so I think most of these are Colin pattern, but there's a couple that remind me of Paul Hicks. Now, that over the years, Gripping Beast have had a lot of different sculptors do work for them. Like those first 4 that I showed you, they're Andy Dormer's, Soapy Dormer's work, pretty sure. But there's just a couple of these. This one here in particular that are very Paul Hicksy in the sort of style of figure, particularly the nose. I find Paul Hicks, when he does noses, they tend to be a bit more sort of aquiline or pointed kind of thing. But anyway, but certainly plenty of these others have, I'm sorry about the lighting and the focus. It's a bit out of whack. Yeah, plenty of these have the Colin pattern, that solid, chunky, old school Gripping Beast look about them. He's sculpted so many figures over the years, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was a Paul Hicks as well. But I might be wrong. Yeah, all the shields, you're going to get a better look at it in the stills at the end. All the shields are hand painted. You can probably tell. Yeah, so, and weathered. So I'm pleased with how they turned out. Yeah, a few problems with getting the spears to stick in the hands, and I'm really hoping that they I'll pack them as well as I would any other job or figures that I'm sending in the post. But these claw hands, this style, they're a bit notorious for popping out, spears, things popping out. So hopefully they'll get there. Excuse me. Okay. So the last thing I worked on, well, it wasn't the last thing, but the last thing I'm putting up to show you, is this command stand. And I'll need to refocus to get him in. There we go. Hopefully that's all right. Now, this, as I say, most of these figures are, I should get a pointer instead of just my fingers all the time. There we go. Most of these figures are gripping beast, but this chappie here at the back, blowing this horn, I think it's called a carynx or something like that. It might be a bit anachronistic for the period, I'm not sure. But this figure is from Eureka Miniatures and is from their Beowulf range. We'll have to put my hand in just to spin it so we can see a bit better. Yeah, they're Beowulf range of metal figures, which have got some really nice characters in them. I actually painted this a few years ago, this chappie back here. But Gary, who's I painted these figures for, I sold him a bunch of my earlier work, bits and bobs and stuff like that. I'd sold the majority already before to other folks around the world, but I still had some, and that was one of the figures that I sold on to Gary. So it was already painted by me. So what Gary had sent was this round MDF base. I'm pretty sure it's MDF. No, it's not. It's plastic. I was proved wrong. Yeah, for the command for his Saga army. So he'd already just stuck on a couple of chunks of cork. They were sort of overhanging the edges somewhat in places and things. So I went to work with a lot of green stuff and fine sand and stuff like that to give it a better look, because the actual metal bases that the figures were on were kind of standing out as well. They needed to be disguised and blended in with the groundwork and such. So I believe this is a gripping beast figure. I hope I've got that right. But yeah, so what I've done is he's got the brightest sort of, there we go. That's probably a nicer angle, but it'll wobble because I can't hold it in place. Anyway, there's some pretty decent photos. Hopefully at the end, I'll be able to tack on the end of the video. You'll be able to get a better look that way. Video doesn't really do it all that much justice, and like most things, they're always better when you see them in person anyway. But so I've gone for brighter, more intense colours for the leader figure, who could be like an Alfred the Great or someone like that. So we've got a nice, strong sort of blue colour, solid blue, with a contrasting red cloak, but with like a deep red, rich red, but with colours in between. So you're not got too much like blue and red together, but there is a bit, because they really tend to clash a bit. But there's a lot of complementary colours in here, like you've got the yellow, the blonde in the hair, which is a complementary to the blues, and you've got his sort of yellowish kind of trousers, which actually fit in as well with the tunic that this chappie's got. He's got some, what else? Yeah, the fur is sort of like somewhere in between, sort of an orangey browny colour. But I've also, on the shield, I thought, well, let's try and get colours onto the shield that can complement the red cloak and the tunic, the blue. So hence I've got the orange is more of a complement to the blue, and the green is a complement to the red. So it's a bit of colour, sort of rough colour theory stuff, but it's meant to be, because he's the guy with the bling and the wealth, you know, he's meant to stand out a lot more and show his sort of status by the colours he's wearing as well. I was listening to I think it was a thing at Sutton Hoo recently where they were talking to some of the fabric and textile dyers and weavers who work on site there, and saying that blue really was, these sort of stronger blues really was the colours of, one of the colours that tended to be used by nobility or leaders and stuff, because they could afford the space in their, on their land, to grow the woad and what the other plants that were needed for dyeing, because the common person, if I can use that term, I'm common, tended to get the colours for their fabrics from the wild. They would use nettles, they might use different nuts or things that they would grow for food, that they would grow anyway, or that could be foraged in the wild to make different dyes. And you can get a lot of different dyes from berries and things that grow in the wild in Britain and stuff, and in Europe. But woad, it was grown for its dye, for its colour, so you had to have space. You had to have the luxury of space on your arable plots to grow enough that you could make that kind of potent looking blue, and then it says something about who you are and your wealth. So yeah, it's just a little aside. So when I do blues on the lower status figures, I tend to go for a much more grey blue, not such a strong blue as this. I think I used Vallejo model color flat blue, and then lightened down with for some highlights and stuff. And I used a Reaper blood red triad for the cloak. Gives you that nice deep sort of velvety look. Anyway, I rambled on enough. As I said, the shields are hand painted, but you can probably tell that. You'll get a better idea of the figures in the photos, hopefully. Let me know if you've got any questions. Drop it in the comments box below. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed in the past and in recent times. It's really appreciated. I don't shoot out the videos with huge frequency, but as I get things done that I'm able to share, I'll pop them up, and I'm always happy to try and answer questions. Although, as I always say, if you leave it too long, if it's a video for 2 or 3 years ago, chances are I won't remember, but I might be able to give you a general comment. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and take care, and all the best. Bye for now.